Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome back. Mr. Guy here with part two of part A of Unit 8. Unit 8 split up into disorders and treatment. We left with our first part, our first segment, talking about anxiety disorders and then dissociative disorders. Now we're going to move on to, sorry, you're telling again, uh, some new stuff. Mood disorders. Pretty common, characterized by emotional extremes, therefore called moods. Major depressive disorder is a disorder for no apparent reason a person experiences 2 or more weeks of depression. All right. It takes over them. They feel worthless. They don't want to do anything. Treated with antidepressive drugs, which we'll talk about in Unit 8B. Some more mood disorders, including bipolar. Bi means two poles, North Pole, South Pole, highs and lows. These are marked by manic episodes of high with low episodes of depression and a cyclical pattern. A person may get stuck in one longer than the other. Mood disorders and bipolar disorders specifically, believe it or not, affect a large percentage of entertainers and some athletes. And they don't exactly why, but they say these creative type thinkers are often afflicted with these bipolar disorders. For example, Mariah Carey, Carrie Fisher from Princess Leia from Star Wars, Demi Lovato, Brian Wilson, genius songwriter for the Beach Boys, and Kurt Cobain of note from Nirvana, the band, all documented bipolar patients. And unfortunately, this bipolar disorder sometimes leads to self-medication, alcohol, and drugs to treat their moods rather than using prescriptions, and that can cause trouble, such as in the case with uh, Brian Wilson, Kurt Cobain, who OD'd and passed away. So, a manic episode is an extreme high. A person can just have mania, which is hyperactivity in wildly optimistic state. This is not just being happy. This is delusions that things are better than they actually are. And this young lady here on this video talks about uh, a big black Cadillac. All right. So mania is the high, depression is the low. And you can see in this PET scan here the difference between a manic state. Look at the brain firing. All right. The prefrontal cortex is going off, the association areas. Even the primitive brain is firing like crazy. All right. And then the depressed state, nothing. That is quite a swing right there in pictures for you. All right, depression is a cycle and it can be broken at any point. Now, next category of disorders is schizophrenia, which translation means split mind. This is not dissociative disorder. Different. That's a split in consciousness. Split mind, schizophrenia, severe disorders characterized by disorganized thoughts, delusions, disturbed perceptions, hallucinations, inappropriate emotions, and actions. For example, yes, I'm just posing that, but some people afflicted with catatonic schizophrenia actually get locked into those positions and they can actually move their bodies and they stay like that. All right, very extreme category of disorders, which obviously can cause great dysfunction in life and in society. Delusions are false beliefs. The CIA is after me. I have to wear this metal cap to deflect the rays of the CIA. They're trying to penetrate my brain. But when I take it off, I become Jesus Christ. All right, so they have these delusions of grandeur and false beliefs of persecution, people following them, things like that. Hallucinations, seeing, tasting, smelling things that aren't there, feeling things that aren't there. There is no sensory stimulation, but they experience it. This is an example of the catatonia I was talking about. All right, positive versus negative symptoms in schizophrenia. Positive plus, you're adding something. A schizophrenic with positive symptoms add inappropriate behaviors, laughter during a funeral. All right, inappropriate tears, rage, disorganized thought, speech. They're adding stuff in addition with their behavior is a positive symptom of schizophrenia. Negative is the absence of appropriate behavior. Sometimes they're very monotone like this, and everything they talk about is just like this. They have no expression, no change in no tones or anything like that. They don't smile. They don't get angry. They are absent. They are minus appropriate behaviors for a situation. Chronic schizophrenia is harder to recover from. It develops over a longer period of time. Acute or reactive schizophrenia, reactions kick in during life stresses, such as some schizophrenics kick in symptoms during college because of the stress. You're more likely to recover from acute schizophrenia than chronic. Great movie, A Beautiful Mind, based on the true story of John Nash, Nobel-winning economist from Princeton. He had schizophrenia. It kicked in during grad school. A genius. And this is actual John Nash with his son, who is also schizophrenic. So it's definitely genetic. The environment can trigger the symptoms, but the predisposition is genetic. So it is part of the nature aspect of it. The environment is the nurture aspect of it that can kick in the symptoms of schizophrenia. All right, personality disorders. Inflexible, enduring behavior patterns that impair, they can't function in society. Sometimes personality disorders can be dangerous. They don't empathize. They don't get stressed out about what they're doing. They don't have any delusions. Some serial killers have personality disorders, and they are able to go on with this, the serial killer, the killing over years because they don't get stressed out about it. It's not a big deal. They function normally during the day, and they don't have any empathy towards their victims. And there are certain clusters of it that are in the book. I advise you research those more in depth. This guy right here, BTK, he was a leader of his church. He was like a big shot at the Christian church, and at night he'd go kill people. Crazy. Antisocial personality disorder. They have no conscience for wrongdoing. They just do it, and they're cold about it. They can be ruthless, aggressive, but they can be clever, just like the BTK killer was. If you look here, now the key about this diagram here, the prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe is not active in the murderer, but the old brain is. These old primitive aggressive urges are on fire here, but the frontal lobe is not filtering. Where in most people, we have the frontal lobe, which makes us human, to filter out, to use a Freudian term, we're going to filter out the id with the superego. The murderer here only has an id, nothing else. Well, I hope you guys learned a little about some disorders. This is Unit A, Part 1, Section B. It's a wrap. Until next time, Mr. Gallagher, I'm out.